Good morning, everyone. Joseph here. Thanks for tuning into this video where we're going to break down the Q1 progress report for Ace Media, everything that I've been doing behind the scenes, all the gears that have been churning under the hood. I'll give you an outline, a very rudimentary overview of what has been happening over these past 3 months. Now, I do have to preface what I'm about to show you with the following. I just realized as of this morning that it was the last day of March. And as a lot of you know or have tuned into this channel previously, I have done a lot of these quarterly updates at the end of, respectively each quarter. And we usually have slides. There's usually a breakdown of all the different new revenue sources. I have a very, very crude, basic outline of what happened over these last 3 months because I didn't have a whole lot of time together this morning just to really put a whole lot of due diligence into building this out. So there's a lot that I'm going to be missing, but I do want to hit upon the major bullet points. I want to talk a little bit about the synopsis of these past 3 months, and then we'll get a little bit into the projections and the trajectory of what I plan on working on over these next few months of April, May, and June, quarter two. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in here. Now, I do want to mention as well, before I actually show you the Google Doc here, Ace Media is sort of the broad umbrella that I operate under with the educational side of TikTok, with my YouTube channel, with the SaaS, the software as a service that we're working on building out right now, and a lot of other ventures. So that's why I like to, for those of you that aren't familiar with this protocol, Ace Media is basically the wrapper for all of these individual endeavors. So that being said, I'll go ahead and pull up the first item on our agenda here, TikTok Creator Pro. TikTok Creator Pro is our educational program and masterclass. It includes a content library. This is not a pitch. This is just me breaking it down for clarity's sake if you're not familiar with this educational program. We have our community. We have a bunch of additional resources that are very unique to what we offer. And there was a total of 52 sales over these past 3 months. That's actually very low considering the fantastic year that we had in 2021. This amounted right here to $10,000, $244. Now, as you probably know, or maybe you're not aware of this, I did not create TikTok Creator Pro to be a viable revenue source. I created this for the sole intention of trying to understand the TikTok ecosystem a bit better, and I needed an isolated few people who were actually serious about leveraging the platform for us to bank ideas off of each other, experiment with different potentially viral concepts, and really sort of create this mastermind of those that were trying to strategically leverage viral predictability on TikTok. We've done a fairly good job of staying within that vein. We have a very, very small, tight-knit community. We're coming up here on eclipsing 300 members. So 52 sales actually was pretty subpar, so-so, very below average compared to what 3 months would have been in terms of the sales projections last year. But I'm completely fine with that. I did not run ads. I have no intention of promoting the program. I only mentioned in my YouTube videos. That's pretty much the only light of day that TikTok Creator Pro actually sees. Funny enough, I actually was approached by multiple ad agencies that said, listen, you can make easily $150,000 if all you did was start pumping money, open your wallet into the pay-to-play avenues on Facebook or TikTok or any of these other ad mediums. It's an opportunity, like it's tempting. I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, I really am sincere in not being in this for the money. I'm not after. Part of me too. It's not just that. It's also about the reputation as well. I know my long-term vision of being in this space in the creator economy, and I do not want to breach the label of being a course guru or a wizard. Certainly, there are a lot of people that do bring good value and are very truly right in their intentions with this course domain. But the vast majority of people, unfortunately, are money grabbers, and I've seen that. I know this for a fact in this space because a lot of the people that come to there was a statistic. So the first 40 people that signed up to TikTok Creator Pro, I was keeping track of this because I was amazed at how ridiculous this number was. 32 of them were refugees from someone else's program. I'm not going to name names because I'm not about throwing people under the bus. Certainly, everyone always makes improvements, and there are gold nuggets that you can take away from everyone out there, the good and the bad. But at the same time, I started to realize sort of the expectations that people had in the space. They were looking for virality overnight, and that's not the way we like to craft what TikTok Creator Pro represents. Sort of the mantra or the sub-tagline that we usually market this with, and when I say market, I really, whatever I include below the videos, the description of my videos for YouTube, is massive, meaningful, and monetizable growth. If you're looking to understand the science of virality and understand human behavior on TikTok just a little bit better, little optimizations you can make in your videos. This is not a pitch, by the way. This is just me sort of voicing my intentions behind why TikTok Creator Pro even exists. But that is the void that this educational masterclass and content library is supposed to fill the void. So we'll talk about projections a little bit later for quarter 2, but for quarter 1, we had 52 sales, which amounted to around $10.2 thousand. That being said, let's go ahead and move on to YouTube, which is our second action item on the agenda. I actually had a few different compilation channels that I ran. I automated these. I had an editor that I hired. One was in the Netherlands, one was in Sweden, and both of them were excellent in uploading content, finding, sourcing videos on TikTok. They would edit them, create original content so that I could actually get the plaques for these channels. I don't know if you could see it behind me because I have the camera about 10 feet in front of me. I can't adjust it, unfortunately, but I have on the wall behind me a few different YouTube plaques that are actually from these channels. So I recently got those, and I decided I'm out of these channels. I'm going to sell them. I actually sold one of them to one of the editors who paid $7,000 for them. By the way, I do want to mention as well, all these revenue specifications. This is not the entirety of what these past 3 months generated. Like I prefaced earlier, there's a lot that I didn't have time to do my due diligence in finding all the numbers for. I know it's not the best business practice, and yeah, my word, it's not going to happen again because I know we normally have slides and a whole bunch of breakdowns for transparency's sake. But I did want to mention that things like consultations, for example, or coaching sessions, or lots of little things like AdSense, like revenue through the creator fund on TikTok, sponsorships, like all of these are not accounted for, and that obviously does make up the bulk of what these past 3 months generated. So my apologies there for the lack of information. But that being said, the only channel that I really want to focus on right now, or the channel that was the focus of these last 3 months predominantly, was the Joseph Todd channel. This channel right here, we're at 92,000.1 subscribers. I don't really like setting number goals, so that number, I say that really is kind of arbitrary to me. But we had a total of 4 uploads, which embarrassingly, I'm kind of ashamed to admit, that is far below what I would have liked to output onto this channel over these past 3 months. I'll talk a little bit about what some of my goals are for these next 3 months when we get into the trajectory for quarter 2. But so far, 4 uploads. Really, the first few months of this year were me trying to get a grip on the reins for where I wanted to take everything. Really, January was spent editing a video that was kind of a mini documentary of what 2021 was like for me, and that was put out on the Joseph Todd Investing channel. I wanted to share some TikTok monetizable tactics that creators can use there. So I spent a lot of time learning Cinema 4D Lite, After Effects, applications I've never used before. So it was a lot of just browsing YouTube and learning, not necessarily moving the needle along with things that really mattered, but that's why the uploads are is a major shortcoming here, but that will be improved upon, as we'll talk about. So we have Tickery. Tickery was probably one of the biggest developments of these past few months. Tickery is a software application. It's actually a web application, first of all, that is going to be available to TikTok users. And I'm not going to spoil a lot of the features because I will be talking about this in an upcoming announcement video. But this is something that I've spent the vast majority of my time working on, the algorithm that was going to rank audio on this application. And I've been doing pretty much all of this myself. I actually did hire a few tutors to help me with concepts that I did not fully grasp. But this entire idea has motivated me to learn programming and coding, and we've made a lot of progress. As specified here by the description, we began early development. I started the tutoring. The 2 guys I've been working with, brilliant programmers, have really helped me, and we have a prototype completely done. Prototype is completed. I registered the socials, the domain, built the necessary APIs and scripts myself with the help of a few programmers. And so this is pretty much all done. I am going to use this as a project. I want to be able to build this entire thing myself. And that's why I've hired people to tutor me in learning the basics of building this particular application. I did have roughly 6 to 8 months of software development under my belt with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. I also knew framework React as well, but a lot of the backend stuff, the APIs, the scripting, and Python servers, things like that was all very new to me. So I've had to spend really a lot of these past few months learning about that, practicing, and I will be able to thankfully say once we release the MVP for Tickery, it will be completely built by me. Every single line of code was typed by me, and I do understand it. So that'll be a really big achievement. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So those are really the three, I would say, allocations of my time over these past 3 months. Certainly it's not everything. And in fact, the vast majority, funny enough, of the vast majority of the revenue actually came from, I would say, the things I spent the least amount of my time on. And that's also kind of one of the reflections for what is going to play into the quarter 2 trajectory of these next few months. But TikTok Creator Pro, YouTube, and Tickery, that ends the synopsis of what happened. Now let's move into the quarter 2 trajectory. So I do want to preface this by saying there are a few things that I want to thread through in terms of what we reviewed over these past few months. There are a few new ideas that I want to throw into the mix as well that I haven't really mentioned on any of my social mediums so far. So give me some time to explain what these are and the purpose they fulfill. Don't jump to any conclusions based on this very superficial overview of the quarter 2 trajectory. So let's talk about TikTok Creator Pro, some of the goals we have set. So TikTok Creator Pro 2.0 is something I've been working on really diligently over this past month, or really over these past 3 to 4 months. I've got 12 course videos that are, some of them are edited, some of them are not. There's a lot of additional resources I want to add to them. I just have not found the time to completely finish these because I have other things that are a bit more pressing and, in my opinion, move the needle along much faster than just focusing a few days on editing these videos. I am determined to knock these out over these next few months. That is something that is a flagship action item on my agenda. But I want to launch TikTok Creator Pro 2.0. The landing page is completely done. I really, really love our new scheme, something I designed myself. And we also have our 12 course uploads that are going to be added to the Teachable library, which is where TikTok Creator Pro is hosted. I'm shooting for 50 sales. 50 sales over these next few months. Now, you're probably asking, 50 is less than 52. Why not shoot for the stars in this case? A few reasons. Number one, first of all, I think the second version, we have a trailer for it and everything. I think it's going to be received really well. But I am increasing the price. I'm increasing the price by $100. I may change this, so this is not ironclad, but I'm potentially going to sell it for around $297. And that's not just some arbitrary pricing. In my opinion, I'm adding a lot to it. We're adding our Tickery application, which we are going to monetize. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we get to that subsection. But I've realized, $197, which is the current price point for it right now, is actually a very, I don't want to say it's affordable, because it is $200 nonetheless, and that's not chump change. But at the same time, we do get a lot of tire kickers, people who join and really don't watch the program whatsoever, and they don't understand why it's there. They're not super familiar with my content. Maybe it was a recommendation, and that's fine. I will not turn anyone away, but I will not be shy to offer refunds if I don't sense that someone is... if someone approaches it with the wrong intentions, or they're there to just vet it and compare it to someone else's, and they wonder why I might not offer this, for example. Well, it's because I don't think that's important in this TikTok journey. There's a lot of fine details that I'm actually pulling from real experiences with, but specifically for these next few months, I'm shooting for 50 sales at $297, which actually is about $4,000 more in revenue, give or take a few hundred, than this last month at the new updated price point. So launch TikTok Creator Pro 2.0 over these next few months. I would like to get all those course uploads done. The landing page launched and around 50 sales in the pipeline. Let's talk about YouTube. So YouTube, the Joseph Todd channel, which is what I referenced previously, my goal here is 10 uploads. And I would also like to hit 100,000 subscribers. Again, goals are very arbitrary in my mind. I could care less if we met that, but I think it would be nice, and I think it's doable. We're actually averaging 2.5 thousand subscribers a month, which puts us right around 100,000, close to 99. So if I push for 10 uploads, which obviously is about 6 more than these last 3 months we're able to yield, I think we can hit 100,000 subscribers. shares, 10 uploads. I would like to focus some of these on algorithm update videos, but also some that are a bit more practical. One of the shortcomings of January that I wish I just would have bit the bullet and produced this video is the traditional video that I have put out at the beginning of each year talking about how basically a masterclass on how to leverage TikTok. I did not do one for this year, so I know a lot of that attention is going elsewhere, and I've seen the deficit of that being redirected to other channels, with January actually being the slowest month out of the last 8 to 9 months for the YouTube channel. So that was a shortcoming on my end. Again, that time was just allocated elsewhere, still in the video editing domain, but not really where it should be. Let's talk about teaming or team. So I would like to hire a YouTube editor. I actually did have one for a while, and I just realized I wasn't good at management. It was all on my end. He was a really good editor, but I wasn't able to stay on top of things. I wasn't the best at communicating. So I've had some mentors that have sort of showed me the process and protocol that they've used for hiring YouTube editors and giving them flexibility and creative license to do their thing. So I'm going to take the best from those conversations and apply them to a YouTube editor. I'm looking to hire someone over these next few months. If you know anyone who might fit that bill, I would love if you sent them my way. I do have 3 people that I'm considering. I'm just waiting to get a test edit back from all 3, and I'll hopefully select one of those. There will be a test edit required just to showcase what you're able to bring to the table creatively. But that hopefully will be able to take a massive burden off of my plate. I usually spend anywhere between 4 to 5 hours editing every video that I put out there. And well, over these last few months or so, that's a good entire day's worth of hours, give or take, that went into editing. And I just find that my edits are not what sells the value of the videos. It's the information I deliver in the scripting, which is something I already do. So if I can offload the majority of the video post-production work to someone else who's actually proficient in that landscape, I think that's an excellent move and definitely something that will free a lot more of my time. Let's talk about Tickery. So this is our software. I plan to launch the MVP to our TikTok Creator Pro members. This is one of the reasons why the price point is actually increasing. And I want to have Stripe integration for the public. So people can sign up, they can create an account, they can get access to this. It's probably going to be very minimal. I'm thinking like $2 to $3 a month. I'm not building this to make money. This is really just this is sort of a medium for me to learn how to do something like this myself, because there are a few additional ideas that I want to build later on down the road that are much bigger than all of this, that tackle the creator economy landscape, that I have not seen anyone approach in this particular way, and I want to be able to do these myself and really be in the trenches with this entire process. So consider Tickery. This is something that I am putting a lot of my effort into. It's going to be a high-quality product at the end of the day, better than anything else out there by far. And I've done my due diligence in reverse engineering how a lot of these work, and a lot of them are fake, believe it or not. They're not actually pulling real data, and we've got the hardcore scripts to back that up. Ghost followers, if they report a ghost followers on your account or not ghost followers, or just arbitrarily picking different accounts so that you feel like it's an actual viable feature. It's really sad. But I want to further develop my programming skill set, specifically Python backend and authorization with React. That's what I meant here. It's something that I've been learning over these past few weeks, and it's taken me a decent amount of time to be able to grasp that concept. I also want to be able to clock 180 hours for full stack development over these next 3 months. I think that's doable. I've been spending roughly 2 to 3 hours a day in the evening, usually from around 9 p.m. to midnight, specifically on coding and programming. And so to be able to clock 180 hours, I think can really move the needle along, and hopefully can have me be very proficient in all in this vein of the back end. So hopefully, I'm pretty certain all 3 of these will come to fruition. We're pretty darn close to actually launching the MVP, and everything else. As long as I can keep on par with what I've been working on so far with hours and programming and things like that, I think I can stay on track here. Let's talk about the TikTok algorithm study. So this is one of the things that I have been working on very diligently over these past 3 months, but I just didn't have time to mention this in the Q1 synopsis section of this report. The TikTok algorithm study is the most comprehensive study done on TikTok to date. We've actually been able to scrape over 5 million videos from TikTok, over 1 million unique videos, and I was very, very fortunate to get in contact with with a doctor in data science who is helping lead the For You page analysis of the data that we have. So we're going to clusterize this. We're going to show the distribution of data. We're going to graph this, make it very digestible. And my plan, tentatively, fingers crossed, is to put this into a video. Well, that is going to be done regardless. I don't know how high quality it's going to be, whether I want to actually tackle the monstrosity that is the TikTok algorithm, or just talk about identifying some of the common questions people have about certain potential interaction metrics being virality triggers for videos doing well. Like, for example, do the likes matter? Do the shares matter? Do I keep it superficial like that? Or do I go a little bit into the dark side of TikTok, where we actually talk about actions that TikTok is taking to demote content, things different moderators that have said that I've been able to interview over these past 3 months. Like, there's a lot that I could share. I just don't know what the theme of the video should be. But over these next 3 months, it'll be done. I plan to market the video. I've got a lot of creators lined up who are going to promote this, which is awesome that they've graciously extended their mediums to spread the word of this video. I feel that there's just a lot of ignorance and unfounded conclusions that are being drawn from anomalies that happen with profiles. Someone will see likes as a consistent virality factor, in quotes, for maybe something like 4 videos, and then they'll throw their hands up and they'll create a video about that gets 100,000 views, and so everyone starts parroting likes matter, when in reality, I'll tell you right now, based on the hard data we've seen from hundreds of thousands of videos, they don't make a huge difference. And those are sort of the inconsistencies, the gray areas that I want to put to rest with an algorithm study like this, is give people the data, and you'll have access to this afterwards. I mean, we're going to, everything will be open source, and people could look at all the scripts that I built and things for this project. But we have a lot of credible people working on this. It's been amazing. I mean, this comes down to the network that I've been able to build over this last year or so, getting in contact with a data firm from France and them helping out with this project, and the doctorate in data science. Like, all this is super incredible, and there's no doubt that this is definitely the most comprehensive analysis of TikTok's algorithm independently to date, at least. Let's talk about this next aspect here. I can't give too much away here because this is something that I'm keeping these cards close to my chest for a few reasons. Develop the classified project. So this is something, I'll try to keep this as non-ambiguous as possible. This is something that is sort of a different avenue involving my personality that I think has the potential to do really well. I mean, I know it can do fantastically well. It has to do with YouTube, and it is an interest of mine that I really want to pursue. I can't do that right now because I'm knee deep in too many projects at the moment, but it's something I really want to plant the seed for. It's something that has the ability, it has the universality, it has the viral punch factor to scale to something like 10 million subscribers on YouTube, without a doubt. Maybe not easily, maybe not quickly, but it can. And there are similar ideas like it. It sort of is, I don't want to say it's very similar to what Mr. Beast does, because it's not whatsoever. Don't wrap this idea in that interpretation. But it's something that has the same awe factor that is something I know he wouldn't do for various reasons, and is something I could do fairly easily because of certain resources I have access to and where I'm located. I just think it would be absolutely amazing. There's a lot of work that we need to go into this. I could do it myself. And that's why I have here develop the skill set in this domain and start making connections. Maintain impact orientation. And that's just a fancy way of saying I probably should have made that a bit more digestible. I really just spent 10 minutes on putting this together right before this. But I have this aspiration and this desire to build something that is meaningful, that is impactful, that is not driven by monetary gain. Certainly, I'm not saying it's a nonprofit company or organization or media empire. I don't know what's going to come to fruition. I know there are a lot of moving pieces right now that are helping me build my understanding to work towards that trajectory and that ultimate destination. I think this is the closest, this classified project is the closest that I've come to really checking all the boxes of what I would really love to spend the majority of my time doing. And I really wish I could say it right now. I don't, because it is an idea, and it's an idea that it can do incredibly well. And I thought about this a few weeks ago, and I realized I should start working in this direction right now. So forgive my enthusiasm here, but sometimes when I get these little brain tangents, I can't help but evangelize them at certain times. But really, the goal behind this is I want to create meaningful impact. I want this to be something that inspires people, that is not rooted in just living the life, vlogging. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to paint that in a negative light whatsoever. But we're kind of to the point now, and I've realized this with 1,000+ consultations that I have had with TikTok and even different YouTube creators now, being in those conversations and starting to participate in person, virtually in some of those networks, it's very, very difficult to have success by duplication. I can tell you, those creators that I connect with that I am almost certain are going to do very well are those that basically follow what's known as the blue ocean strategy in marketing, where instead of trying to be better than your competitors or copy what they do and maybe try to tweak it, enhance it a little bit, you just do something entirely different and you create your own ocean. You can be a shark in the water in your own ocean versus being a fish in the pond in someone else's. This sort of works to that vein. It's an idea that is its own niche on YouTube that I have seen a few videos of people who I don't think realize how good this idea is, who have seen incredible success but have not built their channel around this idea. It's something that is not easy whatsoever. I would have to learn a lot to be able to make this happen, but it's something I'm working towards. Who knows? Maybe my thought will change come, Q3 later on in this year after June, but it's definitely something that I'm super hyped about right now. I realize it could potentially make this happen, and I think it could be very, very meaningful. And that's what really drives me, is the fact that I know this would inspire people, and it would sort of check that internal satisfaction that I get from, it's so funny as well. I think we as humans can sort of subconsciously read each other's intent. At least I feel that way when I often watch the content of others and the way they communicate and the way that they express certain ideas, desires that they have internally that they want to accomplish. It does give insight into what they're really after. Maybe it's all superficial. This might just be naivety on my end, but I do feel at times I derive more satisfaction and fulfillment from often helping others succeed than even making progress myself. And that is completely reflected in my spontaneous upload frequency on YouTube. The fact that I don't have one main TikTok channel that I focus on consistently. I've got a lot of different plates spinning in the air on both of those social platforms. And I really like spending the majority of my time working with a select few clients or doing the consultations, which I'll segue into here momentarily. So I feel that this focuses less on this classified idea, really focuses more on the impact. And I think I'll cap that thought there. All right, let's go ahead and move to the consulting. So limit availability to afternoons after 1 p.m. This is something that has really been a game changer over these past few weeks. I just started doing this, and I do want to continue to thread this through. Increase pricing to $150 an hour. Whenever I get a massive influx of consultations, I usually do increase the pricing just to create more demand and limit the tire kickers who simply schedule these calls because they want to get TikTok famous. $150 is a decent investment. And I do think, first of all, the conversations that we have usually, for the most part, are very, very helpful for people. I've definitely gotten better in learning to craft these conversations and not script them as much. I mean, I don't even script them anymore. I do a lot of research ahead of time on those who schedule the consulting calls. But that being said, the third point here for the description, established a network pathway to TikTok contents for clients. This is a great demand that I'm trying to fill the void for recently. I do have a few different contacts at TikTok, a few people on their creator launch team who have graciously extended themselves for me to forward any people that I think should be verified to them. They'll take a look, they'll review it. Sometimes they have actually verified these accounts I've sent their way. But that being said, I really would love to be able to connect. They've sort of requested that I don't prematurely send out their contact details to anyone. And I'm trying to find someone who I can connect with, people who are asking me to verify them or to look at their profile, but I know they're not going to be verified by the contacts that I have, so I don't even send them over. I'm very clear about communicating that to people. If I don't think someone is going to be verified, then I'll say that up front and not make it seem like I'm working behind the scenes when that's not actually happening. But I do want to be able to leverage my network more and help people in that verification domain, and even just getting people in contact with those that maybe are a bit more established in the sponsorship landscape, know how to navigate the brand deal domain and help creators understand that. I've had a few people request creating a Discord group for that. I've yet to pull the trigger on that idea because it's just another task that I don't think I could bring the fullest extent of my energy to right now. And so I would rather focus on being a bit more qualitative in my work and not quantitative and diversifying too quickly. But that being said, I want to wrap things up here by talking. I think I wasn't, I don't even know if I was showing this. So here are basically the notes that I was just going over right here. I just realized that my screen was showing myself. But I want to share really quickly some really the biggest business reflections that I've had over these past a few months or so. These are things that I really haven't sourced these ideas from anywhere in particular. I'm sure they're out there in the myriad of self-help books that exist in that landscape. But these are ideas that are practices I've started to integrate into my daily routine, and I found they've made a huge difference. The first one is to schedule out intentionally non-productive hours. Non-productive hours are hours that are not meant to be productive, as this is self-explanatory for. They're simply meant to do something that is fun, that is recreational. I've realized this about myself, where I have a tendency to try to make every action, every hour, every minute as intentional, as productive, as meaningful as possible. It doesn't always have to be that way. And I've had a few people tell me that for me to realize that I actually need to schedule out time just to be doing things that really don't matter, because that's an integral part of actually flourishing and living as a human. So scheduling out non-productive hours has really helped me gain clarity of mind in a lot of these circumstances, and it's an incentive. It's a reward to work towards, because there's always something else I could be doing in the afternoon, in the evening, and I would do that. I would work till 12 o'clock at night because there's always another box that I can check. In reality, that you're going to eventually burn out. And I do talk to a lot of creators that often fall into that pitfall of constant productivity, which oftentimes is the antithesis of being productive, because you end up filling time with things that don't really matter, like responding to emails. There are always messages you can be on top of. Is that going to move the needle along? Is that the 20% of actions that's going to bring in 80% of the revenue? Probably not. So it's important to keep these things in perspective. Number 2, limit personal accessibility for meetings. This is on par with what I talked about earlier with the limit availability to afternoons after 1 p.m. I've realized I used to give people the ability to schedule these consultation calls anytime throughout the day. They would happen. Those would be sort of the stakes along the pathway that I would schedule and navigate everything else around. That did not work well. It took me an entire year of offering these to finally figure out to limit my personal accessibility for meetings. So I've started doing these only in the afternoons after 1 p.m., and it's massively freed up my morning. I felt more peace of mind knowing that I don't have to prepare notes and start researching. I can knock out what I call my IPAs, income producing activities, very early on when I'm fresh, reinvigorated, and then I can focus on the calls after lunch or sometime in the late afternoon. Finally, we have here no responses or social media interaction until after 8:30 a.m. This is kind of a basic one. I feel like a lot of people probably adopt a very similar habit in their day. I've noticed that I felt a lot more clarity of mind when I limit the amount of stimuli that I expose myself to very early on in the day. I used to wake up, check social media, check email, navigate through different response channels, and anything that came after that point would sort of be mentally downhill, because I don't know how to describe it exactly in the most articulate way possible, but I do strongly feel that I've been much more productive in the morning. I've been more alert. I've had more clarity and peace of mind when I've tackled responses right when I usually start my work hours, which is around 8:30 a.m. after I get back from the gym, check off different tasks that I usually do in the morning, read for an hour, things like that. So that being said, that has been an overview of what Ace Media has done, what I've been up to over these past few months. They've been very productive for the most part. I think there's a lot that can be brought to fruition over this next quarter or so. Lots of things that I think are going to be really good revenue generating opportunities, but at the same time, really planting the seeds for things that I hope to scale over the remainder of this year and hopefully thread through these next few years to come. I might be thinking a little bit too far ahead, but I think it's good to dream big and at least take action, right? They say an imperfect plan executed with certainty is far better than a perfect plan executed with uncertainty. Action, clarity in your niche, in your ideas, it doesn't come from thinking and brainstorming, it comes from doing. Someone taught me that. And that has been massively helpful in making progress with any of this. It's good to put it on paper, but if it's just ideas, if it's just intangible thoughts, it's not actually creating change in the world. Take action. Taking those first steps is really the best thing in threading the needle along. And thank you everyone so much for tuning in. If there are any questions, please leave them below this video. I don't mind answering questions whatsoever. I know a lot of people don't watch these videos in particular, but I enjoyed making them, and hopefully you enjoyed this progress report session. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.